Once upon a time, the Indian Ocean trembled at the name of one place, Somalia. To the world, they were monsters of the sea, but to their own people, they were heroes, a modern-day version of Robin Hood. So, how did a country known for its simple fishermen transform into the global epicenter of piracy? Let's rewind to April 8, 2009. The Maersk, Alabama, an American-flagged cargo ship, was peacefully sailing from Oman to Kenya, carrying vital humanitarian aid. The ocean was calm, until a blip appeared on the radar. Then another. A small fast boat was speeding directly towards them. Not again, the crew likely muttered. They'd dodged two similar approaches in the last 24 hours. But this time, their luck ran out. Suddenly, the ship's alarms blared to life. Captain Richard Phillips ordered his crew to hide in the engine room, but it was too late. A ladder clanged against the hull. Climbing aboard was an 18-year-old boy, Abdiwali Muse, clutching an AK-47. He wasn't alone. 4 Somali pirates had just seized control of a massive American vessel. Their demand was chillingly simple. We don't want to kill anyone, we just want money. But then, the tables turned dramatically. In a bold move, the ship's crew managed to ambush and capture Muse, the pirate leader, locking him away. The remaining 3 pirates panicked. To regain control, they grabbed Captain Phillips, forced him into one of the ship's enclosed lifeboats, and escaped into the vast, open sea, taking their high-value hostage with them. What unfolded next was one of the most intense and publicized hostage rescues in modern history. 3 U.S. Navy warships, including the destroyer USS Bainbridge, quickly surrounded the tiny, bobbing lifeboat. For 3 agonizing days, hostage negotiators tried to reason with the pirates. The tension was unbearable. The pirates grew more desperate, the captain's life hanging by a thread. Then, in one breathtaking, split-second moment, bang, bang, bang. 3 Navy SEAL snipers, from a distance, fired 3 perfect shots. 3 pirates were instantly neutralized. Captain Phillips was rescued, physically unharmed, but forever changed. Muse, the teenage pirate who started it all, was captured alive. He would become the first person to be tried for piracy in the United States in over a century, ultimately receiving a sentence of 33 years in prison. The world saw a clear victory against piracy. But was the story really that simple? To understand who these pirates really were, we have to look beyond the headlines and journey back in time. Decades earlier, Somalia was a nation blessed with one of the longest coastlines in Africa, rich with fish, vibrant coral reefs, and abundant marine life. But in 1991, everything collapsed. A brutal civil war tore the country apart, leaving it without a functioning government, a navy, or even a coast guard to protect its waters. This power vacuum created an opportunity. Foreign fishing trawlers, many from Europe and Asia, swarmed into Somali waters, illegally plundering millions of dollars worth of tuna and other valuable fish. It was a free-for-all, but it got much, much worse. Somalia's unguarded coastline became a cheap dumping ground for hazardous waste. Reports surfaced that European companies were paying as little as $2.50 a ton to dispose of toxic, nuclear, and chemical waste in Somali waters, a fraction of the $250 it would cost to dispose of it safely back home. The consequences were devastating. Coastal villages reported mysterious illnesses. The fish, the lifeblood of their communities, began to disappear, their populations decimated by overfishing and pollution. The young fishermen of Somalia watched their livelihoods, their futures, and their environment dissolve before their very eyes. They had lost everything. So, in their desperation, they did the only thing they felt they could. They picked up guns. At first, they called themselves the saviors of the sea. Their mission, as they saw it, wasn't piracy, it was defense. They boarded foreign vessels not to steal, but to demand a tax for illegally fishing in their territory. They were, in their own minds, a volunteer coast guard. But soon, protection warped into profit. What began as a desperate defense evolved into a highly organized, lucrative industry. The world watched in fear as the crisis escalated. Supertankers carrying millions of barrels of oil, massive cargo ships, and even luxury yachts were hijacked one after another. The ransom process was like something out of a movie. Millions of dollars in cash were packed into waterproof containers and dropped by parachute from low-flying aircraft into the ocean, to be picked up by the pirates. It was a chaotic, high-stakes game. Back on land, the money flowed. Roughly half the ransom went to the pirates themselves, a third to their investors, and the rest was kicked up to local warlords and corrupt officials who provided protection. In some villages, the pirates were seen as folk heroes. They would share their earnings with the community, paying for schools, clinics, and helping the poor. They were the ones fighting back against the foreign thieves who had stolen their fish and poisoned their seas. But the world's patience ran out. The cost of insurance skyrocketed, and vital shipping lanes were under threat. By 2011, a massive international coalition was formed. Global powers, including the United States, China, India, and NATO nations joined forces. They deployed a fleet of over 20 warships to patrol the Gulf of Aden and the Indian Ocean. commercial ships armed themselves. They hired private security guards, lined their decks with razor wire, and installed sonic cannons that could blast pirates with debilitating sound waves. The days of easily climbing aboard a vessel were over. The tide had officially turned. By 2017, the Great Pirate Era was declared essentially over. For 6 years, there wasn't a single successful major hijacking until 2023. With the world's military attention shifted to conflicts elsewhere, the pirates saw a window of opportunity. A few hijackings were reported, a stark reminder that the root causes poverty and instability had never truly gone away, but they never managed to reclaim their former glory. The international naval presence, though reduced, was still a powerful deterrent. Today, if you speak to many people in Somalia, they will tell you the pirates were not villains. They were warriors of survival, young men pushed to the brink, defending their sea, their people, and their dignity in the only way they knew how. Yet, justice and desperation rarely sail in the same boat, because when a revolution born from injustice becomes consumed by greed, even its heroes risk turning into the very monsters they once fought. As someone once said, revolting against injustice is a sign of humanity. But when that revolt becomes another form of injustice, it loses its purpose. The story of Somali piracy is a complex, cautionary tale about what happens when a nation is left to collapse, and its people are left with nothing to lose. If you found this story powerful and thought-provoking, please share it, because sometimes, history hides far more truth than the headlines ever show. Thanks for watching, and be sure to subscribe for more deep dives into the stories that shape our world.